In our basic PowerShell course, we have covered a lot of commandlets. We talked a little bit about scripts, but now we're actually going to do some scripts. So you can get some canned scripts or PS1 files or text files you can edit into PS1s like we're going to do from this gallery.technet.microsoft.com, then put in the / script center as you see in the URL at the top. And what it does is it allows you to search for any type of script that you want. And what we're going to do is a DC diag script that we put in here. But a lot of people have uploaded their own scripts into here, and Microsoft has also added their own as well. So it can be really a helpful resource for you. So let's get into it. I've downloaded this DC diag text file, and if I right-click on it and choose to edit it, we can see that it has a lot of different script in there. It's going to show us basically some domain controller diagnostics for us, and it's going to pipe it out to an HTML file. So there's a lot of really good programming in here that you may not want to learn how to do totally yourself, but you can plug in your own information to make it work. So you don't have to be a great programmer in order to make this happen, but of course if you are, that does help. But you've got people who've created a lot of these scripts for us already. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up the integrated script environment in PowerShell. And what you can do to get into that is right-click on the PowerShell icon in your taskbar, or you can do a search for PowerShell and do it that way. And you run the ISE as administrator. So this allows us to edit scripts. So we see the bottom part is PowerShell, and the top part is the scripting area that we can see and edit and do things like that. And on the right-hand side, we see some very common types of commandlets that you can use for PowerShell. And of course, a lot of uncommon ones as well. We see a pretty comprehensive list. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to start out by allowing us to have an unrestricted execution policy. Otherwise, we may get an error when we try to edit and run this particular script. And we talked about this in detail in a separate video. So we type in set dash, and we can see a whole bunch of different examples pop up that we can use if we decided we wanted to. So I'm going to go ahead and type in set execution policy and set that to unrestricted. So that way we can do whatever we need to do. And it says, hey, you sure you want to do this? It could be an unsafe situation. We say yes. So now we want to type in get-execution policy just to make sure that it did what we want. Otherwise, we're going to get an error when we try to run this script. So it says it's fine, so great. Let's clear the screen. Now we're going to open our text file that we downloaded from Microsoft. So we're going to choose File, Open. We'll go to our desktop. And we're going to change to all files because it's only looking for PowerShell scripts right now. I'll click the DC diag text file, and we see that same file. When I right-click and edit it, you can now see the entire thing up here where we can go and make changes to it. So there's a lot of different scripts that you'll find just like that. You just plug in your information, remove the information that you don't want. And once again, we're using a PS1 script. So that's why we had to set our execution policy up, because scripts are different than commandlets. Scripts are made up of a whole bunch of commandlets, whereas a commandlet is just one single string. And we can see a lot of different switches and options in this using various different commandlets. So now that that's done, we need to save this as a PowerShell script. So we'll do File, Save As, and we're going to call this the DC diag, but we'll get rid of the .text. And we can see it's going to leave it as a PS1. So we can do all these different PS for PowerShell type scripts. There's more than just PS1 out there, but PS1 is the most common one. So we'll do PS1 right there. We'll click Save to our desktop, and if we minimize this, then we can see there it is, our PowerShell script. So you can see it looks a little bit different, has the PowerShell logo in it, right next to our text file. So now we're going to run this script, and you run it by clicking the Run Script triangle at the top. So we'll go ahead and click that. Now it's asking us for our domain name, so we'll put in widget llc.internal, and we'll hit Enter. And the file name, we'll put in C:\report .html. So we can open that using a web browser. And now it's running dc-diag. We can see the process as it goes through. It's looking against our domain controller. So we already have an Active Directory domain called widgetllc.internal. And the domain controller that's running is DC01. Now we also have another domain controller called DC02, which I don't currently have running. It's a virtual machine. So that should give us an error in our HTML report, which is exactly what we want to see, just so we can see what's running correctly, what's giving us problems, and that's what dc-diag does for us. Now it's looking for DC02, so it knows it exists, but it's not currently running. And it finishes with an error that it could not reach DC02. So now we'll go ahead and minimize our script. We'll open up our C drive, and we see our report. Double click on that, and it piped that information right out there, and it gives us an idea of what's happening on our server. So dc-diag is just the script that we use. You can see some passed, some failed because DC02 is not turned on. But the important thing is knowing how to use the integrated scripting environment by right-clicking on PowerShell and running ISE. So you can write your own scripts, you can download scripts from Microsoft, and you can go in and edit those scripts directly right in this top area, just as we did when we went into the script that we downloaded. So you don't have to be a great programmer in order to go in and create cool scripts for PowerShell, creating PS1 files that you can then run on your server or workstation.